Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Dragon Ball Nation. Now today I'm going to be giving you guys another Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 video, and today it's going to be a character wish list that I've brought a special guest with me to do. And who is that special guest?
Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today.
Yeah, and like I said, we're going to be giving you guys our wish list. We saw some characters in the trailer: Turles, Zarbon, Dodoria, Lord Slug. Assuming more movie characters are going to be in here, we've got this narrowed down to 5 characters. This is not our entire list of who we'd want, but we narrowed it down to 5 to keep the video simple. And we're just going to go back and forth and tell you guys who we think we want and why. So the first one I have here is Janemba, and Janemba is very interesting because we don't see him in a large majority. He's in Dragon Ball Z games, but I feel like in a Dimps game, which they made the Budokai series, Shin Budokai, Burst Limit, Infinite World, they were only really in 2, I guess 3 if you're counting Dragon Ball Heroes, which they also developed. 3 of those games. And Janemba has a very interesting fighting style. He has his sword, as well as very many special attacks with, involving ki and maybe even magic. We don't know. I'm assuming Janemba's a magical type of being, obviously. And his dimensional manipulation, that could be very interesting to see in the Xenoverse space. I don't know if they're going to utilize that because they don't really utilize his dimensional bending powers in the Budokai games, but that's kind of what I feel about that. Quan, what's your first pick?
Well, I'm probably going to have to go with Baby, and the reason why I think Baby would be a good choice, not counting the Great Ape form, because Baby is the type of character that you could have had like one character slot for him that fights the same, and then you could have like the Baby Goten, Baby Gohan, Baby Vegeta variations of him, and I think that would be really cool to see like the different techniques that he could use for each character.
No, I don't disagree, and I think we both agree that Baby in the first game was very wasted potential. It was cool to see him, especially in like the story mode missions for the DLC, the GT pack, but the fact that he was only in Great Ape was very disappointing. It would have been very interesting to fight as Baby Vegeta himself, or like you said, even the different forms.
Yeah, and Josh, what do you want to? We were talking off the air about the big forms. What are your thoughts on having big characters in Dragon Ball?
I think it's not necessary to be able to play as them, but I think in terms of fighting them, it's something that I do want to see continue on. But I don't think fighting them is necessary. It's never really balanced. One bonus character I guess I'm gonna throw on here, but it's not really a character we're gonna play as. And let's say one of the parallel quests, a character I'd like to see, because Toa and Mira both come from Dragon Ball Online. I'd like to see Cell X come as like a big villain. Qaaman, are you familiar with Cell X?
Yes, I am. Feel free to elaborate.
I mean, I don't remember all the logistics, but Cell X was basically like a remade version of Cell, but he was like a big insectoid spider-like type of Cell. I'll have a picture of him on screen, as well as all the characters we talked about, but he would be a cool parallel quest fight boss, but I doubt he'll be in the game. But for my next pick as a character I want to see would be Cooler, of course. Broly was really the only big character we got to play as in Xenoverse 1, and I think having a second guy, even though he's smaller than Broly, would be very cool to see another big character. Not big like Baby, obviously, but a bigger character that is towering over the rest of the cast. That would be very cool to see with Cooler, and Cooler fights like an absolute tank when he hits people in his final form, of course. And, I mean, biasism, of course, he's my favorite non-canon character. So, Qaaman, what's your next pick?
Well, for me, my next pick in this game would probably have to be Oob. And the reason why I like Oob is because I think Oob, not counting the kid Oob at the end of Z because he doesn't really have any developed techniques, but I think the Oob in GT would be interesting, especially Maj Oob. I think he's always been a nice little addition to the Dragon Ball games, and if they're going to expand on the story, why not add him,
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the first Oob, iteration, he wasn't really a flyer at all necessarily. He had to ride on Goku's back. He couldn't fly. And Xenoverse really avoids characters that don't know how to fly. Mr. Satan being the exception because he uses his jetpack in every single game.
And
but
Jocko.
I agree. And Jocko. I can't forget that. He has little hover boots. But I do agree. That would be a very interesting choice indeed. He'd have some cool attacks. He had very cool attacks in Budokai 3 as well. The next one I have here is Supreme Kai, because the Supreme Kai, again, in the Budokai games, because you can look at those because they developed those as well, along with Xenoverse and many other games. The Supreme Kai could manipulate objects and spawn objects like the Ketchin, material, the densest material around, He could throw that at enemies. He could throw swords, pots, pans, all sorts of things he could spawn. And I think that'd be cool if they can add that feature with that character. And, it's just a character that I feel like even in the story, it would be cool to see him interact or, have some effect on the timelines and maybe even interact with the Supreme Kai Time, possibly.
Well, from my next one, Josh, I think you made some good points there. I would probably, speaking of future characters, I'm probably going to have to talk about Future Gohan as another interesting character, because Future Gohan, interestingly enough, we saw the trailer, Josh. Trunks was crying over him. I don't see any scenario where you see that crying Trunks and they wouldn't put him in the game. It just doesn't make sense. They wouldn't put that scene if they were loosely advertising him, and I think he would be an interesting character. He's always been an alternate version of Gohan that people like. He could turn Super Saiyan, and I've never been a fan of the one-arm techniques because it's always been hard to do combos with him from my experience, but he'd be a cool character to add.
And I know we talked about this off the air, about his one-armed, attacks and all that stuff. I will say this, though. I think he would probably play pretty similar. Hopefully his fighting would be different. Obviously, his melee attacks. But it would be very similar to the one variation in Xenoverse that had Special Beam Cannon and Masenko. Remember that one? They had Adult Gohan that had that variation, actually. Yep. So I guess he'd have similar attacks to that. But for my next one, this is definitely more of a story-based one, that's for sure. Majin Vegeta. I feel like it was a very big missed opportunity in the Buu saga in Xenoverse 1, where they just skipped right to Fat Buu. They skipped all over the Majin Vegeta stuff, and I feel like there could be a lot of cool things showing Vegeta get a massive advantage over Goku or something in their fight. Maybe Goku has to get forced to go Super Saiyan 3. Not only that, there's a lot of people that are big fans of playing as Majin Vegeta, and including me. I love playing as Majin Vegeta in games. He's got very cool attacks, and he's got a very memorable ultimate. I mean, he probably won't have that ultimate in the game. He'll probably have like Final Flash or something, but I think that'd be a very good addition.
Well, the next two characters I'd like to add are King Vegeta and King Cole. And it has nothing to do with them being kings, but the whole thing is, Josh, we talked before that whenever Dragon Ball adds those what-if characters, like those what-if they had a chance to fight, like King Cole. I mean, I guess technically King Cole fought Trunks for like those 2 seconds, and then...
If you can call that a fight, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and King Vegeta tried to fight Frieza.
That was probably worse.
Really, if you really think about it, they never really had a chance to fight, and I think it'd be interesting to see them put into a game, especially a more modern adaptation, and it would really give that fanboy feel of, wow, they added in these 2 fun characters that we never really got a chance to see much of.
No, I get that, because they pretty much make up their own fighting styles at that point. They don't look at the anime to see how they fought or anything like that. And I think it is an interesting thing to look at. For my last one, I don't want to talk too much because me and Qaaman are going to do a whole video talking about the potential of this character in the story and what importance they could have. But Dabura, if you guys know the importance of Dabura in the Xenoverse story, then you do know it, and we're going to talk about that in a separate video. But Dabura also, not only is I think he's an awesome character, but he's a magic user. He has that fire breath. He has his sword. And he's just a character that did not get enough attention in the series, I felt like. And I think it will be an important character to bring into this game because he has a significant connection to Mira and Toa in some way. So that's what I feel like. Qaaman, is there anything that you want to say before you, of course, graciously close this video out to the fans?
Well, I'd just like to say, always remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always said, have a great day, guys. And I am so hyped for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. The only thing is, though, I just hope they really expand and not really reduce any characters from the previous game because I really don't think it would be necessary.
Yep, and don't forget Scott. Oh, okay.
Well, from my next one, Josh, I think you made some good points there. I would probably, speaking of future characters, I'm probably going to have to talk about Condom. And see, the thing is that a condom is something that can be utilized very, very, very effectively to prevent an individual from having a child. So if you're very young and you don't want to have a kid, you could definitely use a condom to prevent yourself from having a child. So that way, if you are, not having the financial ability to take care of a child, you don't have to worry about that at the very moment. You could save your semen or your egg for the right time in your life. And, you know, a condom could really save you from a lot of the future events in the future. I mean, you could say I could have fucked this girl, I could have had, you know, 20, 30 kids by the time I was 30 years old, but by having a condom, you literally just save so much stress on your life. So I'm definitely going to have to say super condom is probably one thing I would put in the game. And in addition to that, I would also have to say...
Qaaman, is there anything that you want to say before you, of course, graciously close this video out to the fans?
Well, I'd just like to say, always remember to strap on a good condom in case you ever need
on,
one. And, well, I'd like to say, just please remember to, you know, always strap on a good condom in case you ever need it. And, hold on. Well, I'd like to say, please remember to strap on a good condom in case you ever need it. And